CRWS, Countering Racism White Supremacy Book Club. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to CRWS Counter Racist Review of Natural Born Killers. The date is September 20th, 2022. This film, Natural Born Killers, is directed by suspected racist Oliver Stone. And jumping right into it, Mickey and Mallory Knox, two very powerful race soldiers, racist white supremacists. And throughout the film, they practice racism in a manner of having fun, practicing deceit, and practicing direct violence. The diner scene in the very beginning of the film was very, very interesting, and I think a telling demonstration of the culture of racism, white supremacy, white culture, some would say. And that aspect is that it combines sex and violence. You know, a lot of racists seem to combine sex and violence. They seem to get joy or pleasure when sex is somehow harming a person. And that is demonstrated in this film, and it's definitely symbolized as well with Mallory, and she's dancing right before they're about to slaughter everyone in this diner besides one person. So during her dance scene where she's dancing sexually, she does finger guns, and then a suspected racist attempts to flirt with her, and then Mallory and Mickey practice racism by killing, white sacrificing mostly everyone in this bar. But prior to this, she dances sexually, then she does the finger guns. After killing everyone in the diner, Mallory and Mickey say to each other, "Oh, I love you," because in a racist mindset, I suspect love is the ability to practice racism. It certainly does not mean anything correct, which is why counter-racist logic, go to producejustice.com to study and apply counter-racist logic. But counter-racist logic says that love does not exist in a system of racism, white supremacy. Because when it's being used, problems aren't being solved, truth is not being revealed, and more times than not, people are still being mistreated across the planet worldwide. So love is a very deceptive and confusing term that we should avoid, and definitely observe how suspected racists use it. In this film, they use it right after slaughtering people. They use it a number of times. And all of it is incorrect, I suspect. It could be an error. Also, this scene was very telling on how racism, white supremacy is practiced, and how this sadistic fun is had. Towards the end of the scene, when they kill everybody, there's two survivors, and Mickey and Mallory play a game, any, meeny, miny, mo sort of game, to determine who's going to be able to live to tell the story of what happened at the diner. And that demonstrates that the fun, racism, white supremacy, racist man, racist woman, racist child even, they have made killing into a sort of sport. They have taught us that, hey, killing can be fun. This is entertaining. This film right here was arranged by very, very prominent, critically acclaimed directors, writers. All of them I suspect to be racist. but they have made this sort of thing fun, and there's still coliseums standing from thousands of years ago where killing was made to be a sport, where people were placed in arenas to fight to the death for entertainment, for one's pleasure, for people's pleasure. And that's the sort of system we're in. That is racist culture, I suspect. And that is what we're seeing when we see Mickey and Mallory play that game with the survivors of who's going to be able to live. They're toying with their victims. They're having fun with their white sacrifices, because this system, this film definitely to me demonstrates that white people are not in it for each other. They're in it to fulfill their pleasures, for their enjoyment. They're in it to keep the system going, and they have no problem sacrificing each other at all. And I think that's all my notes for this scene, and I'll pause the line and see if other participants would like to share.
Can I be heard?
Say again, Mr. Yawu.
Can I be heard?
Yes, you may be heard. Yes.
I agree with the points you said earlier.
You do sound far away from your mic, though.
Is that better now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I agree with the points that you have stated earlier. The need for violence and the sexual or erotic pleasure that comes from it. The first thing I noticed was the two, I guess you could say, totems of the wolf and the snake. The different characteristics of those. Shapeshifter, as far as being the wolf, then the snake, so change and transformation. And then something caught my eye when they were at the counter and they were talking about key lime pie, like the way he asked for it. So I looked it up, and on Urban Dictionary, it has very interesting definitions. It says an infatuation that shouldn't exist. It talks about key lime is an act for which it basically just talks about different, basically anti-sexual acts, and that's what key lime means. So I suspect that the directors who made this film know that. And I see a lot of these films are just, reenactments of real cases that have happened and how they like to make fun of it by inserting them into these movies. I found it interesting that they have Mickey drinking milk. That's a trope that's used a lot in cinema to show youth and innocence. We see it on Clockwork Orange, different things like that. Home Alone. It's a simple, also a symbol of being disturbed as you're trying to act like you're a child. And so once again, we see where killers in the past have also been labeled as youths or young or children to gain sympathy for their heinous acts that they commit. And that's all I have in that scene.
Was he drinking milk or chocolate milk in that scene?
I believe it was white milk in a frosted glass.
Yeah, I caught that as well. And I recently saw a video, and it is also detectable pattern of nefarious characters drinking milk, like Inglorious Bastards. The Nazi, he's drinking drinks milk, and food is definitely something they use to tell you about the character for sure. So definitely excellent observation.
If I might add it also, it can be shown, because I saw that video as well, sir. It shows in the professional that it can be used as predatory or almost pedophilic, where the predator is trying to relate with the child by drinking milk.
I'm talking about Leon the Professional.
Yes, sir. That movie was also in that video.
Yeah, and Leon the Professional is a that film is definitely coded with a lot of stuff, and it is acclaimed in various incorrect circles that so yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Any more notes on the beginning scene? Anything? And we don't have to go in order. You can share whatever notes you want.
I did notice there was some Coca-Cola ads a couple of times in this, like in the first 20 minutes. Like dark drinks and all that. Guess that's a Dr. Bonito thing there. Consumption of something dark.
I noticed a lot of the red and white coloration throughout the film, but it kind of caught my attention in the beginning. The truck that the two men she kills, or they kill, with the dead deer on top, red and white truck, and just throughout the cartoon, red and white throughout. And I looked it up. The color red symbolizes some of the most powerful human emotions, like passionate love, or lust. Also, the color of blood symbolizing anger, danger, and violence. White is the primary color, traditionally symbolizing innocence, peace, and cleanliness. I just found that very interesting that those two colors are found throughout the film.
Yeah, lots of red in this film, and these race soldiers, Nikki and Mallory, are definitely passionate about practicing racism together. That's how they chosen to practice racism. They want to practice it together, and they want to get pleasure, sexual pleasure from each other, and also pleasure from harming other people. And they're also attempting to kill as many people as possible. That's one of their purposes. And they have no problem with white sacrifice. And there's something that was really interesting. A number of interesting things were said, number of lines said throughout the film. But when I'm just gonna go, I'm trying to jump around. I have to go in order. But the scene where Wade and Mickey are being interviewed. Oh yeah, are talking to each other. He asks, they're basically asking Mickey, like, what's your purpose? Why are you doing all this? Why are you doing all this? And then this is when we get the title name drop, and he says, shit, man, I'm just a natural born killer. He says that. And I'm like, wow, that is very much, very, very similar to what Peyton Gintrin wrote in his post. Said he was like born to do this, born to do what he did at Tops. So I'm like, so racists definitely understand how the system functions. And just adding to their knowledge of how the system works. Great character The warden, does the warden even have a name, or is he just known by the warden? Let me see. But this is a excellent character. He definitely yeah, he just wait, no, what is his name?
He tells Scagnetti, "You can call me Dwight."
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely hear. So I guess his name is Dwight, but he's also he's his most important role is he's the warden, and he definitely understands how the prison works, because when him and Scagnetti are talking, he's like, do you hear that? It's silent. You don't want that in a prison, and I'm like, wow, okay. You don't want silence in the prison. I wonder why. Perhaps is it because where there's silence, some thinking can be done, and then when thinking is done, maybe some problems are thought about, and maybe how to solve those problems. And if you're in a prison, maybe you want to think about, getting out of the prison perhaps. So twice the prison being silent and that being dangerous is mentioned by the warden. So he's very, very much an understanding of how the system functions. And when he's also talking to Scagnetti, he says something I thought that was very interesting. He says that Mickey and Mallory, they're like the most depraved, sadistic people. They are they show exactly what exactly what's fucked up about this system. He calls it the system. So the warden understands the system. He understands what he's allowing, and the people like him are allowing to take place around the planet. So very, very interesting. Whenever there's films that are a lot of races of energy have been put into them, and they have prisons, I guess that's always going to be a great way to discuss racism and show how racism functions, because greater confinement prison, that's the whole planet. Racists have made this entire planet a prison, and they have made it so silence and thinking, that's something that victims of racism, they have trained in us to sometimes get really uncomfortable with silence and thinking, especially thinking about constructive things like solving problems or the reality that we are in a prison system. So very, very excellent. Well, excellent Decoded. I'm not gonna the scene, this movie is absolute filth, and I would not recommend anyone watching it ever. But I'll pause there, see if folks would like to add on or share some other notes.
I mean, I guess we can just get right into it. The scene where the white guy is looking at the black male. How when the black male was about to attack him, all the white prison guards just jumped in and detained him. The white guy just sat there. They didn't touch him or nothing. He just sat there smirking and laughing. And also, I noticed in the background there was some other white inmates laughing, or the rest of the black people were just sitting there, watching. Shit, it shows how the system works. No black people can touch white people.
Yeah, this is definitely a delectable Negro scene. The whole prison portions of the film were just horrific, absolutely horrific. But hey, this is what racism and white supremacy is all about. And this is the warden definitely is getting enjoyment and pleasure from this, from his ability to just, before he mistreats this black male in this manner, he says, I have this right here. It's in my he calls him a big boy. Basically, he calls him a big boy, and he takes out some sort of electric or Negro type tool, puts it in his nose, and then picks him up with it. You know, and yeah, and then we have race soldiers laughing at him, and yeah, he's reminding the black male victim of racism of his place. And this is the warden. You know, he has ultimate white power because he runs this specific greater confinement prison. I mean, greater confinement facility known as a prison. So yeah, just overt racism, just overt in your face racism, white supremacy. The power equation in a known universe is white over non-white, especially the dark people, the darkest people who have been classified as black by racist men and racist women who can only be classified as white. So the second scene of the movie also is an excellent example of white culture and why I say there's no such thing as the picket fence family, the white picket fence family. There's no such thing as a happy family, white or non-white. All families have to be dysfunctional, quite insane in a system of white supremacy. And I suspect in a lot of actual families who are allowed to somewhat function as family, white families only, race families, I suspect a lot of what we see in this film, what happened to Mallory, rape and incest, I suspect that happens a lot in white families. And unfortunately, that racist thinking and behavior has been taught, and we have been trained to practice it. Well, not to practice it, but to copy it sometimes. And it's really tragic and terroristic. But white people, the white people who support and refine and expand this system of racism, white supremacy, they're most to blame for all of this, for all of our programs, every incorrect thing you observe on this planet. So we have Mallory. She's a victim of rape from her father, and the way it is presented to us is very entertaining. Well, not entertaining, very interesting, I meant to say, but it's presented in an entertaining way to the audience because it's on a laugh track. It's supposed to be shot in a way where we're watching some sort of sitcom, and it's supposed to be funny. You know, we have the dad. We have him making a number of literal rape jokes. He I think he made 3. I can remember 2. My notes but it will take a bit to yeah, this may not be the second scene either, so I'm not gonna attempt to number the scenes. I'm just gonna refer to this is the family scene, so-called family scene. Anywho, he tells Mallory to go upstairs, and then and the mother is aware of this. The mother is aware that the father has been raping the daughter. But he makes a joke where he tells Mallory to go upstairs, and then he makes a joke to the mother in front of the child that when I get up there, she won't be turning around for about 4 hours. Some joke implying that he's gonna be raping her for quite a while. And then Mickey comes, and then he takes Mallory away, and then the dad says, I broke her in and he grabbed her. Now, if you could decode the language, you know, you broke her in, that's, you know, some animals need to be broke in, you know, slaves were broken during the chattel slavery system, during the chattel slavery phase of white supremacy. So this is real grotesque stuff that is being said and that is being displayed on this screen, but hey, behind it there's a laugh track. You know, these are supposed to be jokes, but this is racist culture. This is white culture, I suspect. But Kevin, his name is Kevin, and he is not here. Oh yeah, he's observing all of this. He's being taught. He's being taught that, hey, raping is fine. You know, I watched my dad rape my sister, and he's wearing some face makeup to represent maybe wrestling or maybe Sting or something. Anywho, I'm going to talk about Kevin again because his name is Kevin, and there's a movie called We Need to Talk About Kevin, about another race soldier who is practicing racism in a form of deception and killing for fun. But right here, he seems to be wearing a clockwork orange sort of makeup, Kevin. So this could just be this is how racist child is taught to be racist child. He's surrounded by racist men and racist women, and their actions are very incorrect. And what else is going to happen to the child? Is it going to become justice child or universal child, or is it going to be like the people around it? So we need to talk about Kevin. We need to talk about all participants in the system of white supremacy, so we can solve this problem. Because I don't think Kevin's gonna grow up wanting to solve problem. I think he's gonna probably grow up to be just as bad as his sister. But I'll pause there and see folks who like to chime in. And greetings to What's the Code and Mr. Monopolistic in the chat. While folks are gathering their thoughts or notes, I can read some of What's the Code's information that she's put in the chat. First scene, dark animals, rattlesnakes, wolves, and scorpion. Mind you, the movie is about two white people, a white man and a white woman, Mickey and Mallory. Mallory looks about 90 pounds, and I'm supposed to believe she beat up the white cop. I'm supposed to look at her as so-called powerful with her dirty blonde hair. Yeah, you are a race code war, and she's just showing you the white power that she does possess. Book suggestion to read Race Code War for more information about blonde hair white woman. I would agree. Milk drinking by white people. White men symbolize pure breed, pure white. Not so-called mix or proof white people don't have Negroid in them. Oh, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. When I'm pretty sure that's the correlation of characters who are drinking milk, who are also definitely white, not non-white, but classified as white. So that's a excellent observation. So Mallory's family is white, and I know I have associates who are classified as white, where they were sexually assaulted by their uncles, and their fathers knew about it, mothers knew about it, or were told about it and didn't do much about it. So I'm aware of this happening firsthand. So white culture, racist culture, are we gonna solve this problem? Or are we gonna allow this to happen till infinity and beyond, like the racists would prefer, like they're planning it to occur? eternally, forever. So we should want to solve this problem, or if we don't want to solve this problem, you got to find another planet, because this planet is for a system of justice, which is guaranteeing no one is allowed to be mistreated, and those who need help the most receive constructive help. It's very simple what we're trying to do here, and we don't need to complicate things with wanting to kill people or wanting to mistreat people or deceive people. So also into the scene, we get some racist logic, racist mindset of Mickey and Mallory. They call themselves angels. She said, well, Mallory says, you know, we're angels. And yeah, I said, yeah, that's true. In a system of white supremacy, angels, God, they're both white. You know, they both have been imaged to be white people. And I don't know any constructive definition of angel. And when white people use it, it's not that logical. So I don't care for the term, but seeing them use it and seeing their actions, I don't think it's angelic to go on killing sprees. But I do know that racist man and racist woman and racist child, they understand that they play God. They consider themselves gods, actually masters of the universe. They consider themselves to be gods among men, among people, amongst us at least, which is why we see Mallory and Mickey literally throughout the film choosing who lives or who dies. That's them playing God. That's them, you know, that racist logic, that racist mentality is to play God, to think you actually have the ability, to understand you have the ability, but then to actually go out and do it and just kill entire ecosystems, kill entire land masses of people. That's playing God. So when we think about God, we should really have a clear focus about what are we thinking about. So that's what I have to say about that. This whole angels. We must replace. I would suggest don't even use God. You know, maybe creator, or find a more logical term, because the whole God term and angel, that has been just taken over by a racist man and racist woman. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Peaceful greetings, everyone. I hope that what I'm about to say wasn't said already. I missed a few minutes of the program, but Natural Born Killers, it came out in 1994. Juliette Lewis, aka Mallory, she was about 18, 19, 20, about 1920, but she could have been 18 when this movie was being produced. Keep that in mind. Rodney Dangerfield, the guy who plays her dad in this movie, he was about 72, 73 when this movie came out. And mind you, he plays her father in this. And remember the scene between them two where he sexually molests her, and you know, talking about rape and how he grabs her body part, her butt. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting scene to have in this movie. He makes a comment, Rodney Dangerfield, aka the father. He says 2 pounds lighter and you'll be Miss Ethiopia. Ethiopia is in Africa. He's talking about Black people. He's talking about non-white people. And, you know, if that's the case, if they're skinny, if they're, you know, small like that, why? You have to ask yourself why. And why make that type of joke? A so-called joke. That's not funny. And around this time, around 94, 93, 95, there used to be a commercial where white people used to always put this commercial out there showing non-white people, Black people, you know, malnutrition, big bellies, very extremely skinny, malnutrition, and you know, it flies around their face or whatever. We always got that image around this time in the early to mid 90s or whatever. So that's another reason why that was an interesting remark that he made as a so-called joke. Sally, I think her name is Sally Struthers. She used to try to, oh, 35 cents a day you could feed, you know, this child, blah blah blah. And it's funny. While later on, now this is not funny like that, haha, but later on, you know, as time goes on, as she's doing this commercial, I'm talking about Sally Struthers, a white woman with blonde hair, mind you. As she's doing this, she's getting bigger and bigger. And everybody in the background is getting, you know, is small. So, you know, after a while, that became a thing. Like, you know, she couldn't do that program anymore because, like, obviously the money's going towards you or something like that. But I think something was wrong with her health-wise, and I'll be quiet for now.
Yeah, South Park also mocked Sally. I think mocked Sally Struthers, and also it's in order to maintain and find a system, you need those sort of jokes. You need the normalization of dark people malnourished and famished in areas that are full of resources that white people are pillaging and stealing and exploiting and misusing. You need that. What's happening? You need it jam-packed and a small, quick joke that racists can laugh at and feel good about practicing racism, and also have the understanding that yeah, we know what we're doing. Fascinating, and very, very terroristic. Mickey and Mallory, they represent also just the Yurugu, the mythos of racist man and racist woman. Just what does it mean to be white? It's having it in your culture, your some energy that cannot be used for constructiveness. I'm gonna skip around again. I'm gonna talk about the Yurugu, and I'm gonna use this scene with the victim of racism known as a Native American, so-called. But there's Mickey and Mallory. They come across this guy right here, this victim of racism, and he attempts to help them, it seems, even though he refers to Mickey as a demon. He suspects him to be a demon, it appears, it seems. But he goes to them, and it seems like he's attempting to do some sort of healing ritual on them. He's trying to help them using nature, using and also using the unseen forces of nature. But because Mickey is of the Yurugu, contains that energy that cannot be used for constructiveness, contains that imbalance, that disconnect with nature. During that process of where someone's trying to help him, Mickey kills him. He practices racism and kills him. It's presented as some sort of, as he like just spazzes out, but no, he's just a Yurugu. That's just the energy they contain. Very dangerous. And this victim of racism, should have definitely suspected, and he seemed to have suspected them. And as he's dying, he said he was waiting for them. So racist man and racist woman, of course, they're the people who put this film together. So what he represents to me is that the racist they don't mind if we call them demons. Hey, they don't mind if we wait for them, but don't have a plan if they come to counter them. You know, he did this victim of racism. Had he been attempting to counter them constructively, maybe he would have survived. But this film was not put together by counter-racists. It was put together by racists. So they're not going to show constructive victims. They're going to show the kind of victims that they have actually produced. And this is the sort of thing that is more common. Thinking like this versus suspecting every single racist, and definitely not, inviting them in and doing rituals with them and feeding them. It's just no codification at all from this victim of racism who comes from a people who were severely mistreated by a racist man and racist woman historically. But very interesting. And what else does the Urugu do that was once unique to their culture, but they have spread it to all people behavior now? Patricide and matricide is probably the other one, but just killing so-called family, killing moms, killing dads. We got daughters killing fathers, and vice versa. And that's white culture. And Mickey and Mallory represent thousands of white people who have done this, who do this all the time. So Mickey and Mallory, they come, and Mickey, when they're killing the dad, when Mickey is killing the dad, Mallory does something very interesting. She chimps out, basically. She chimps out. She starts screaming like a monkey and jumping up and down. She starts acting very savagely. And I was like, oh wow, that's white culture. That's what it means to be white. White people are they liken themselves to animals, to monkeys. They have an affinity for monkeys, even though they like to mistreat non-white people and codify and image us as monkeys. If one studies racist culture and attempts to learn about racist mentality, you will understand that actually white people have an affinity for primates, and it's possibly I don't know why exactly, but I can see that pattern. Anywho, Mallory, she chimps out. She's screaming like a monkey while Mickey is killing the dad brutally, and that's just a very telling display of racist culture, I would say. Then Mallory and Mickey, she goes and she kills the mom because the mom knew she was being sexually assaulted and didn't help her. So she's also sacrificed. And then they go to Kevin, and it looks Mickey, because he's just a race soldier who, you kill anybody, does not care, white, racist man and racist woman, racist child. They have convinced us that they care about children. That is a myth. That is a lie. The system of racism and white supremacy would not exist if white people cared about children. Mickey was about to go kill Kevin so fast, but Mallory stopped him, and then she says, "You're free now. You're free. You're free to practice racism however you want, Kevin. Go be free." So this Mickey and Mallory, they remind me of a lot of race soldiers. To be somewhat precise, because they represent thousands of race soldiers from the past and present and future, because as we've seen, killing for fun, killing, being sensationalized and live streamed. Hey, that's actually a thing now. It's actually happening in 2022. So this sort of thing, this sort of stuff is going to definitely continue until we solve this problem. But whoa. James DeVigio and Michelle Mashad. They were a group of a duo of racist man and racist woman, and they kidnapped a non-white female and a white woman, and they sacrificed a white woman, I believe, tortured her and killed her, and one lady got away. The scene where let me see if I got any right here it is. So there's a scene where Mickey and Mallory, they're about to have sex. Then Mallory gets mad at him because he's looking at this tied up white woman that they have in the background. And I'm like, oh wow, they're glorifying the long list of situations like this that have actually occurred. Racist man and racist woman working together to kidnap some girl, some lady, or a woman to involve in their incorrect, sadistic sexual activities, and then to kill them. You know, dozens of cases can be found where this occurs. I think another one, and the age difference, because Woody Harrelson, I'm pretty sure when this is being filmed, he's way older than 18. And thank you, Helen, for bringing up the how young Mallory was when she was filming it. I don't remember her name. Just gonna call her, yeah, Julie, whatever. But she was very young, and Woody Harrelson's very old. And I'm like, oh, that's not that pedophilic nature of racist man and racist women of the system that they have arranged for us to exist in. I think so, and I think that it's intentional. Reminds me of Avery Brock and Tony West, and another duo, a racist man and racist woman, who went around killing people seemingly for fun and pleasure. But that's what this scene reminds me of, and also just of the toy box killer, just people who, for some reason, oftentimes are classified as white, but they get enjoyment from tying each other up, tying helpless people up, torturing them, and then getting sexual gratification during that or after the person is dead with the corpse or in memory of what they just did. This is what this film is glorifying. And this is, don't forget, Mickey and Mallory, he's a rapist. He's a mass murderer and serial killer, but he is glorified. He has fans. 2022, we can find dozens of websites, dozens of blog posts where Nicholas Cruz, Adam Lanza, I'm pretty sure, Dylan Roof, of course, Peyton Gintrin, they have fans. They have people who support and appreciate what they did, and they probably will inspire people to copy or refine or do whatever. So, this is the business of white supremacy. This is what is promoted in this system. Nothing constructive, but making the system stronger. And hey, lots of severe mistreatment and violence and people dying who should not be dying. When that's occurring, the system remains and gets more powerful, I suspect. Yeah, horrific scene, horrific movie. Again, this movie was put together by the same people who brought you Platoon, Behind Enemy Lines, Born on the 4th of July, Any Given Sunday, so-called, American Hollywood classics. Why would they put their time and energy into something as vile as this? It's because they're on board. This is what they promote. This is what they don't mind existing in the system. This is the business they support. This is the sort of things they support, I suspect, and they promote it. And they've glorified it. And I'll pause there and see if else want to chime in.
Woody Harrelson was 33 when the movie was released, and I want to know why the Native American character called Mickey a demon, but Mallory is not a demon.
That's a gross age difference, pedophilic nature of the system of white supremacy. Yeah, that shows the natives' confusion. There was something interesting about, here it is, demon, too much TV. Yeah. And also, reading is more important than watching television. And also, Woody Harrelson's character, he is just jam-packed, concisely coded to be a number of depraved racists, I suspect. Jimmy Savile comes to mind when I see him, especially in this image I have, right? Where is it? Especially this image right here. Jimmy Savile, very notorious pedophile, sadistic person. Also, what else is Jimmy Savile famous for? Let me think. He is also famous for, let me get it on the screen, wrestling. This highly suspect homoerotic piece of entertainment that is definitely racist, definitely refines and promotes the system of racism and white supremacy. In fact, I think named Rodney Dangerfield, thank you, Ms. B, for going the extra mile to find out who are these people, who are the suspected racists playing these suspected racists. But Rodney Dangerfield, he's watching wrestling, and he's like, it's very sexualized. He's like, at first I believe there's a sexual innuendo made, and then he's like, come on, tell them apart. Oh, does he call them faggots? Something like that, because they're not harming each other.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't it? Yeah. So he's watching guys in tights grab each other and whatnot, and he's calling them faggots because the violence is not to his standard. And that's sports. That's Area 3 sports in general. Just a whole lot of homoeroticism, a whole lot of incorrect male-on-male interaction that leads to mostly injuries and not a lot of problems being solved. And the racists are aware of this. The racists are aware that sports is a highly, highly brain trash activity, which is why this film, we have the interview with Mickey. No, with Mickey and Wade taking place when? When does the interview take place? Right after the Super Bowl, and I think the Cowboys won, and this movie, the Cowboys won, if that has any significance. I don't know. But sports, super super interesting area full of racism. Not worth a lot of non-white people time and energy, especially if we're not using that area to counter racism and promote a system of justice. But I also think it was interesting like all the nods to other films that are made, and all the films are connected. Every single film in the system is connected because most of them, I suspect, promote the system of white supremacy. Very few films, if any, exist that promote a system of justice, guaranteeing no one is mistreated and people who need help the most receive help. I don't think a lot of films promote that. But films like Scarface, where a white person who at first when he's a poor white person, he looks a little bit more darkish a little bit, but as he rises to power and gets more money, he's able to function more as white. Scarface. But we're talking about natural born killers, so let me talk about another depraved race soldier, white supremacist in this film, Scagnetti. Scagnetti, like many of the characters, could like just be decoded as the contradiction, the hypocritical reality of this insane system that we exist in. We have this detective, the so-called lawman, who's supposed to be, a constructive person, supposed to be helping to fight crime, when he's actually just as bad as Mickey. He's also a rapist and murderer. So yeah, this is white culture, and we just had a I don't know if a detective. We just had a detective being brought up and accused of sexually assaulting a number of non-white people, non-white females. So racists, they definitely know about their culture. They know what each other are up to, and they will show us the truth, but it's not like most of us are paying attention. And it's not like they're showing the truth for problems to be solved. It's more of a mockery, I would say, or more of just showing the truth, because what are you gonna do with it? We don't even know what to do. Most of us, I don't even know what to do with the truth besides beg for a system of justice to be brought to planet Earth immediately. So I guess we get to let's talk about some white worship, which is what this film also displays. Lots of white worship. We got the non-white people in so-called Tokyo. They got the white fans. You got fans across the planet worshiping Mickey and Mallory. Why? I think one of these guys said they were cool and hot. Mickey and Mallory were cool and hot. They said, cool and hot. Why? Well, I guess the cool part is they're able to have fun. They're able to kill who they want. I guess that's the cool part. The hot part could be that they are in a system of white supremacy racism that has trained the masses to view white people as attractive, especially attractive if you're mistreating people, especially attractive if you're really good at being deceptive, like Mickey and Mallory are. So that's why I guess that's why Mickey and Mallory were able to be worshipped worldwide. They're in a system of white supremacy, and they just had to be cool and hot. Now Mickey, Oliver Stone, Quentin Tarantino, freaking who else? David Villas and Richard Rachowski, whatever your name is. You guys are clever, very clever spectral racists. Naming Woody Harrelson's character Mickey. That is not lost on me. Mickey and Disney, you know, the race company that brought us Mickey Mouse and a number of other racist propaganda that has retarded the masses, and that have been retarded the masses for quite a while now. Mickey and Disney, they're very similar. Disney is responsible for producing a lot of characters, a lot of TV shows that have cool and hot characters, you know, that have characters that, you know, mistreat people, and then there's laugh tracks behind it. So it's all, you know, hickey dory, it's all fine and dandy. But yeah, it's like some sort of, it's not a coincidence that Mickey is named after Mickey Mouse. You know, they're both products of racism and white supremacy. They both support, maintain, and expand the system of white supremacy, and they both retard the system of white supremacy. You know, when Mickey's doing his interview with Wade and spewing a lot of racist logic, a lot of nonsense and insane rhetoric, you know, he's able to start a riot. He's able to get the prisoners, you know, motivated not to solve problems, but to just, you know, kill and mistreat each other further. You know, he was able to retard their thinking and their behavior. And Disney, you know, and the products and the entertainment that Disney arranges, it doesn't get us thinking about solving problem. It gets us thinking about love and having boyfriend and girlfriends and you know, drama and superficial things. Not, are we going to guarantee that no one on this planet is abused or harmed? Are we going to guarantee that everyone on this planet gets the help that they need? Now, if Disney was an actual family friendly company or organization or entertainment business, they'd have, you know, they'd be about eliminating all the incorrectness on the planet. But Disney is no different from Mickey, Natural Born Killers. You know, they, you know, every show on Disney should be rated R, should not be watched, should not be consumed, because it's just as you know, grotesque as Natural Born Killers. Yeah, you're not gonna see people, you know, head on pike on a Disney show, but you're definitely gonna see a lot of it's gonna lead to the same thing, mind trash. It might as well be if you can see, just imagine a mind on the pike, and that's what's happening when we're consuming too much Area 3. And a lot of us have been just conditioned and brain trashed by Disney. And I hate talking about them so much, but hey, here we are.
Interesting point you made about Mickey Mouse and Woody Harrison, his name being Mickey Mouse, which makes me think of childhood, young, innocent. And there were times when the cameraman would flash images of a young Mickey, blonde hair, smiling, you know, as a little boy. And the term cute was used quite a few times when those images would flash across the screen. So I take it as racist man and racist woman, they want to train us and program us to think of white and blonde as cute and beautiful and everything positive, which it's not. How Rodney Dangerfield, I'm going to go back a little bit, how Rodney Dangerfield, how he was talking to Mallory, you know, using profanity calling her all type of um, curse words I'm not going to use. That's white culture, and that's what I mean when I say, that for, as one of the rules of Twitter space or whatever, not to use profanity, because this is a prime example of what I call acting white, using profanity, like what was said in this movie between Rodney Dangerfield and Mallory. Um, there was there was a point where um, the term ugliness was mentioned, and at in a split second they showed the next second they showed an image of a non-white person. And I think that white people, they want us to associate ugly, trash, bad with black, with non-white. And I think that's something that we need to definitely take notice to. What helped me was reading Decode and Race Code War, and other books as well. But really, like, those two books really like helped me to understand that much better. How, when something's negative, it's dark, and um, it's dark and bad, and everything else. At least that's the imagery that white people are trying to portray to us. There's a moment when Mallory went to go visit Mickey in jail, and there was a moment where Mickey says, "Can I help you?" And he's talking. He said in a real nasty tone to a black female, and that again is the training and programming of, the message sent out to white people: you're supposed to mistreat non-white people. I think that's what that part, when Mickey says that to a non-white person. I mean, the jail is full of, well, the visiting room had, quite a few white people. Why didn't he say that to a white person? Why would you say that to, it looks like one of two black females in the jail, visiting someone. This movie is very interesting. And I'm not suggesting that people watch this movie at all. When Mickey and Mallory, when they got fake married or married on the bridge, and he cut his hand and he cut her hand, and then they grabbed hands and they mixed blood or whatever. Mickey says, "By the power invested in me." Who gave him that power? That's the question I'm asking. As God of my world. I think that there's something in that. I can't quite decipher it, but white people, they act like they run this world. Well, they do, but I mean, like, they act like this is theirs, and like we're not supposed to be a part of it or whatever. Like, they can just do whatever, and they do whatever, and they're destroying it, and they're in their, in the way that they behave, in the way that they think, they're destroying this world. There was a list. There was a part where TV show called American Maniacs, and they had Charles Manson. Oh, white people are obsessed with this guy, Charles Manson. Even Quentin Tarantino, even though he's a part of this movie too, Quentin Tarantino. He did a movie not too long ago, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he flipped the story of the child man, and it wasn't even that great. But I mean, there are thousands of articles on Charles Manson. For who? And books on him. For who? For what reason? Like, what's so interesting about that case? Why are white people so fascinated with him? I'm not familiar with Charles Whitman. That was another person that was named during the American Maniacs. And Richard Ramirez. I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with them. I have to look them up. But notice they chose 3 males. I'm gonna say one. I don't know if Richard Ramirez is white or non-white. I'm not sure. But the movie is about Mickey and Mallory, a white man and a white woman. Why didn't they have at least one serial killer that was a female, like Jane Tapan and Nanny Doss, or Aileen Warnos? I may be pronounced our last name, WURONOS. These are white women who were serial killers. Why didn't they have them listed? They just had white men, and I'm not sure about Richard Ramirez, but I think that was a coded way of protecting white women by not having a white woman listed as a serial killer. Even though this movie is about a couple, running around killing people for no reason. And I'll mute my line for anybody else to talk.
Thank you, Miss B. Mr. Justice, would you like to?
I really wanted to just highlight that it may seem like a joke or whatever, or sensationalism as they call it, but I believe this is the psychic expression, or the mind, the deepest mind, their spirit of the most powerful white supremacist men and women and children. I believe they fantasize that if they could really just tell the truth and live in the truth with no restraints, they would be these two. That's why this movie is a classic. That's why it'll be on the shelves of professors and poor white people alike. Because this is really what, if they really are allowed to, by all the others in the system of white supremacy who aren't as aggressive, this is what they would really want to do. This is the perfect union. That yin and yang is really an expression of, this is our perfect union. And the power invested in him, he knows what he's saying. The power invested in white men. All marriages go to support the system of white supremacy racism. That's why people get married, non-white and white, to help maintain the status quo. And they identify themselves with that via the ideal of marriage, through the power invested in the system of white supremacy racism. That's what it's meant to maintain. That threat of, this is what we'll do if you really want to resist us and we really take off all the niceties. This is who we really are. We should really, really think about that. Just look for it. Look for it in their eyes when they're laughing and smiling or greeting you, with hatred in their eyes, but a smile on their face. This is what it is. These are the ones who are the usual suspects, not special ones called serial this or that. All deaths are equal under the system of white supremacy. They're all serial killers, because they know death is in the power invested in them, and it's maintained. The power invested in them is maintained by death. It's the only way they got it. So overall, remember that in the context of white supremacy, this makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. It's perfectly illogical, logical. It's perfect racist logic. Everything in here is a symbol of reaffirming. They're glorying in what's right in front of you anyway. It's underneath everything you look at anyway, is these two. Dedicated beyond all reason. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Evolutionist for Justice. I agree 100%. This is the mask revealed. This is the mask removed of racist man, racist woman, racist child. The glory and the glorification of, hey, this is what the glorification of what they're willing to do and what they have been doing on this planet, and we'll continue to do until we solve this problem. Another a lot of race soldiers were glorified in this film, overtly and subliminally, but the overtly ones that were mentioned was when Scagnetti and the warden were talking. Pretty sure I had them together. Yeah, they're talking, and they're talking about how they're gonna have to how the warden is saying how he wants Scagnetti to kill Mickey and Mallory. And then I forget which who, but Jack Ruby is mentioned. Jack Ruby is glorified, and then Lee Harvey Oswald is glorified. And Charles Whitman, Ms. B, is he's like, that was also a reference a number of times. But Charles Whitman was the so-called American sniper who was, I think he was at some Texas University campus, where he set himself up there with a sniper rifle and killed a number of people before he was killed himself. And this happened in 1966, and it's highly just like Waco was also mentioned, displayed in this film. It's one of those topics that are often mentioned, because when terrorism, when racists commit terrorist act like Timothy McVeigh, when they show their awesome white power, they're remembered forever, it seemed. And I think that is why I think that is related to what Mr. Justice said about how this movie is going to be just in circulation forever, because this is you want a movie to what it means to be white, what this business is, race business, all about. Natural Born Killers. Go watch that. Go watch that movie, and you will understand how much trouble we are in when you understand the kind of people who have taken over the planet. Racist man and racist woman and racist child. Anyone knows? Go ahead, Ms. B.
Oh, here's the racism hidden in plain sight. That, I don't know, I think some might, they might not understand, or they might get it, but not understand what they're saying. The part when Mickey and Mallory, they finally get caught and they're thrown in jail, both of them together, but separate cells, obviously. And they're outside of the drugstore. The cops eventually, they tase him and they beat him. And I was like, wait a minute, this is giving me flashbacks of Rodney King. I'm like, no. I'm like, what year was that? Oh, this is around this time. And then the movie ends, and what do? They show Rodney King just as he's about to say, can't we all just get along? And I was like, oh, this is mocking us. This is horrible. This is so, yep, right there. They are mocking us with that part. If you don't know what happened at that time, then you're not going to get it. It's going to go over your head. But what was the reason of them playing this at the end of the movie? Like that, this makes no sense.
Perfect sense. You got it.
Yeah, it makes sense if you understand racism, white supremacy, and you know that they're mocking it constantly. White people, when I say they, I'm talking about white people, racist man, racist woman. They're constantly mocking us. Yeah, it makes sense. But I mean, for the average Joe, that might not. Oh, well, I shouldn't even use average Joe. But if you don't understand the system and you might not have been born around this time or know about the story, then you're not going to understand if you see Woody Harrelson getting beat like that. And then them showing this clip right here. Oh, I was like, oh, wow, this is horrible.
Yeah.
I have so many.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry. No, I have so many times that it'll just be random, just Black people just thrown in the middle of talking about white terrorism. Let's say in the beginning where you see the family, the family, which is this movie is just the practice of white terrorism put into a movie, and then a mockery on who it's really on. So in the beginning, it's what is it? We Love Mallory or something like that. So I Love Mallory. So right away it's off I Love Lucy. And so then you see where the reason why Rodney Dangerfield is mad because his daughter was trying to go see John Lee Hooker, who was a Black blues singer. And that's why he's upset and starts fondling on her, and all this other stuff happens. So there's just so many inserts of just random Black people who start acting extra violent. And it's just very random that they put it in there. When it showed, so after they get caught and captured, when they're going to jail, the first picture you see of people in jail are Black people. But you never see white people when it's assigning to a crime. It's always these little insertions of non-white people. You notice when it's the scene where they're in the drugstore, you'll notice that every time they show the media, right there, you'll see an Asian woman, or you see the side of it like a Korean news van. It reminded me of Color Monitors, where all these non-white people are aiding these two white killers. That goes back to the medicine man. He's another non-white person. Then you have these non-white men in jail who are aiding these killers eventually get out of jail. So it's the glorification of how non-whites and whites aid the killers who are the epitome of racism, white supremacy. Even in the beginning, how they were talking about the highways, and they said it was sweet as candy. Well, we all know that that's a real history of how the highways aided serial killers in between the 30s and the 60s. So it's just a glorification of how they love and turn their killers into icons. In the beginning again, where she's dancing in front of the jukebox, that star in the bottom of the jukebox caught my eye. Well, that's the cross right there. That's the 8-pointed cross for the Templars. The Templar mission, what's the Templar mission? It says that we are the army of God. This is in their order of the Magna Carta. So that's why, if you notice, he was like, we weren't just killing anybody, we were killing people that deserved it. So they were ordained by a God, and that's why he was able to cause them to have that wedding. That's why it was on a bridge. That's a symbol of suicide. These are all little iconic symbols that subliminally get you. I see these two as Bonnie and Clyde, and then the newly version of Kurt Cobain and whatever the blonde haired chick's name is.
Courtney Love.
Yes, sir.
Excellent, Mr. Yabo. Yeah, this is the religion of white supremacy throughout. This is why we have Mallory calling herself an angel, and Mickey's understanding that he has godlike powers. He has the power to get married. He doesn't need a priest. He's a white man. He's a race soldier. That's all the power he needs to ordain himself married to his counterpart, somewhat counterpart, the white woman. Go ahead, Mr. Justice.
Johnny Lee Hooker had a song out, and still does, called I'm a Man. And that song was very, very popular. And it's played usually in racist movies when there's about to be a confrontation between some obvious white supremacists and Black people. But the song starts with him saying, I'm a man. And somebody saying, what? You ain't no man. And he said, I'm a man. I'm a full grown man. Let me show you. And it's over and over in the song. He says, I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm a man. I bet white supremacists hate his rusty soul. But I can dig how that's why Rodney Dangerfield was pissed off. You're not about to go listen to some nigga talk about him. He a man. But that's mainly what I wanted to comment on. And also, I do believe that racists know their history. They know the motivations for when they want to go out as a sacrifice. They know the motivations. They draw upon history, manifesto after manifesto after manifesto after interview after interview. They are very well versed in white supremacy history. Motivations to murder and mistreat non-white people as their last hurrah. And I believe a lot of white sacrifices, this is the way they show that even though my people threw me away, I'm still down to be white. That's why they're never forgotten. They know They'll go down as a symbol of this is one who stood for us and sacrificed him or herself or themselves.
Indeed. Very, very terroristic. I mentioned it earlier, but because you said it so profoundly, Mr. Evolutionist for Justice. I mentioned Kevin and this being coded to be a reference to A Clockwork Orange. A Clockwork Orange is also a film of white people telling you, showing you what it means to be white. If allowed to, this is what we want to be doing. Using our Yurugu energy to do this, to mistreat people, to be savage, to rape, to have fun raping, and yeah, to do it all night, all day. So that and this is what we are attempting to counter and rid from planet Earth. And any correct, logical thinking person should be okay with the system being replaced with a system of justice or find a new planet. Well-seen moment. Did I pass it? Well-seen moment coming up. Well-seen many well-seen moments throughout, but just well-seen moment right here. The Great Equalizer. The gun is the white person's phallic symbol. That is white culture. Please read the ISIS papers. She has a whole chapter on guns and what they mean in a system of racism, white supremacy. And you'll understand why white people call themselves son of a gun and why we have imagery like this, non-white people on their knees with a gun, a phallic symbol in their face, because it's symbolically demonstrating what is taking place on this planet, white over non-white. The whites are dominating the non-whites everywhere on this planet. That's what's taking place. And yeah, I just, just the boldness and the just the seriousness of this film. They had no problem showing they have no problem showing the truth. A racist has no problem killing people, especially non-white people. So we see Mickey kill a number of non-white people, no problem. The people who are like this victim right here, this victim, this Asian, so-called Asian victim, let a racist tell you he's a yellow nigger, but which just means non-white victim of racism. But he's clearly worthy of great pity, highly confused, highly victimized, sabotage to the point where his body has become what we see it to be on the screen. Needs way more help than he needs being killed. But hey, racists aren't in the business of helping people. They're in the business of mistreating. So he got blown away. And then right after that, we see another yellow person complimenting Mickey's gun or complimenting his phallic size, depending on how you want to look at it. Very,
she says it very sexual too.
Yeah, she does. And white people do have their fetishes for so-called Asians. So that's another inside joke, a little truth about white culture. Like to have fun with their subjects.
I find it very interesting that sorry, we talk about the character Skagdetti, played by Tom Sizemore. He has been kicked off of several film sets, and he is still up for charges of sexually assaulting an 11-year-old on a film set. So once again, these are not just movies. These are these people's character. These beings or individuals' characters in real life. So I just thought that's very interesting how he plays this, corrupt cop who is a pedophile and a rapist. In my opinion, the way he interacts with Mickey and Mallory, I suspect that he's envious of them. And the reason why he's so bent on catching them because he wants to one up them. He is lustful after Juliette Lewis's character, and I think he sees that's a way of beating Mickey at his own game. He is a murderer. He is a murderer in his own right. I think that this movie is once again portraying serial killers and all about the one-upping nature of racism and white supremacy. Who could be the better killer? I found it interesting you mentioned what they mentioned Whitman. If I'm not mistaken, whether they do it as a parody or that's who it really is, Scagnetti tells a story of how his mother gets killed from a sniper on top of a tower. So they were hinting at he was the killer of his mother, and that's what sent him into the monster that he is now, which is very very interesting as far as just storytelling and screenwriting. Just fascinating.
Yeah, I think Scagnetti's mother allegedly was killed by Charles Whitman, the Texas sniper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. And excellent observations, Mr. Yawwood. Yeah, this Scagnetti's character, even in the right here in this scene with the gun, we have Mickey with the bigger gun. He has a bigger gun than Scagnetti. So I definitely see that. I can now see that he was envious. That makes a lot of sense. And when he sees that that Mickey's gun was unloaded, and he has like a knife in his throat, he literally face palms, like, oh man, I could have won. That's what I got from that. When he face palmed, when he finds out that Mickey's gun wasn't loaded and his gun was loaded, and we find that out because he gets his brains blown out by Mallory.
I mean, in my opinion, I'm sorry. It's like they're all trying to be the top killer. Like even the warden, he's trying to kill them by using Scagnetti.
Yeah.
Be it Scagnetti wants them for his own lustful pleasures, and then they just feel that they're the big bad wolf and the snake, or the scorpion, and they can't be stopped. Like even just like the different symbolisms of the different animal totems, the snake, the wolf, the scorpion, and just the way each character played different aspects of that was very, very symbolic in the writing. And how in the end you see Gale, the reporter, and he just knows he's going to get away because he's betting on that they always leave one person. So he's he's still thinking that he's doing his thing, and then it's like, no, well, it's the camp, it's like the scorpion and the frog. Like, well, I'm a scorpion, of course I'm going to bite you in the back. So it was just a lot of different racist white supremacist tropes and different stories that they told, icons and things like that, all in just one movie, which is meant to be worshiped. And I also found it in closing that this reminds me of how people are worshiped on social media today. Like from the time they got arrested, by the time that Gale went in there for that interview, that was a period of time that he had all those people just to change the story how he wanted to in the media. So it shows how the media, once again, aids these killers to keep on killing. We've seen this in these latest books that we've read, after the Buffalo shooting and, the original 22 caliber killer, Ronald Dominic, we can go down the list of how the system helps these killers keep on doing what they do in this movie is another example of that.
Agreed.
Going back to the prison, did anyone else notice that they were black males hanging?
Oh, yep, definitely. we was gonna definitely talk about that. Cause whoa boy, well, like when we get to Act 3, that's when the race soldiers behind this film, they said, all right, we are going to take it where it's always been, what it's all about. Hey, horrific, the horrific reality of racist white supremacy right here. You know, keep the non-white people, especially the dark people, especially the black males, dark males, keep them in the prison, dead or alive. We don't care as long as they're in the prison, greater confinement worldwide. But and it's just like just how these people are just casually conversing, you know, talking to one another, while we have this black male hanging dead here and another dead person in the background. But the other person he's only there, so we are only he's only there to hide the fact that there's a dead black male hanging on the screen. You know, something that racism, white supremacy has a long history, tradition of doing publicly. Yeah, lynching, killing black males. The white person who's also dead, he's only there so the audience can't say, see, so the audience can say, see, there's a white person there too. It's not racist. But this is very grotesque. This is very, hey, this is what racism, white supremacy is all about. And then we have Mickey with his new haircut, which is definitely neo-Nazi, reborn white supremacist vibes going on. Yeah. But yeah, this is very interesting. Very.
There was another black male hanging on one of the prison bars also.
Yes.
Yeah, you made an interesting
yes,
point about that one, the white guy.
Yep. Towards the exit of the prison, where it was like near where we see the warden get killed. Yeah, I saw there's another hanging black male there. So there's two hanging black males in this film, and there's probably more speakers in there that we missed because there's so much chaos on the screen that you would really have to pause it to pinpoint what's happening because so much goes on in this film. Oh yeah, so just how this film promotes white supremacy, promotes the sort of behavior being copied. When the whole the fanaticism, that's what being a fan is being an insane fanatic about something. The fanaticism behind Mickey Mallory, we had one fan say, if I was a mass murderer, I'd be Mickey and Mallory. You know, and that's the racist logic, and that's racist logic that has been most non-white people operate on racist logic. We've been taught to think and behave like a racist. We've been taught to act white, essentially. Even if we're using slang, we're still thinking and behaving like a racist. Maybe not the most smartest racist, but I hope that makes sense. So that being said, I said something like this similar, but just that being said, if I was a mass murderer, I'd be Mickey and Mallory. We have literal teenagers, children, 2022, who they have a long list of mass murderers to choose from. You know, there's a long pattern of behaviors that we can observe, of articles being written about, you know, teenagers forming clubs and coming to school with like stickers with the Columbine shooters and whatnot. You know, like, what does that mean? That they're glorifying mass murderers, and they're also, hey, these are my heroes. These are the people, you know, it's just like wearing like an Iron Man sticker to school. Same thing, you know. I want to be like this person when I grow up. You know, racism. This is the insane thinking that racism, white supremacy promotes in all people, especially children, because children are more susceptible than so-called adults. Another character that was hilariously terroristic was Wade. This scene right here, tacky, trashy, but he asked the black male, "What are you in for?" And the black male says, "Murder." He says, I feel that." He says something along the lines, "I feel that," and then he gives him a hug. Instead of helping the black male constructively, maybe helping to solve their race problem, he gives him a hug.
Don't forget to call him bro.
Oh yeah,
Don't
he called
forget
him brother too. Oh yeah, he called him brother too. So yeah, it's like, I'm not gonna help you, but I'm gonna attempt to make you feel better, to soothe you with a hug by calling you brother. And that's just, that's just the people behind the show having a little fun, making another joke. That's really how they treat us. They terrorize us and then come around, call us bro, give us hugs, but no, actual help, no actual attempt to teach us how to get out of this system, this prison, this horrific predicament that we definitely are in 2022. So when he's interviewing Mickey says a lot of stuff, a lot of racist logic. Some of it you can well, I was just gonna say, he said something about regret. He says what did he say about regret? Oh, he said regret is a wasted emotion, something like that. And I'm like, yeah, racists don't spend time, regretting things, regretting all their past mistakes or wrongdoings. They appear to if anything, justify it and keep it pushing. Honestly, I definitely would suggest that this regret emotion sensation, I would say we should not get caught up on regretting things. We should understand where we are and attempt to improve and solve all problems, not regret that, hey, we are victims of racism, non-white people who are in the prison system. Don't regret that, but attempt to change. Don't waste any. It's a wasted emotion. To quote Mickey, perhaps if he said it verbatim. But yeah, that was something interesting. I, being a victim of racism, used to regret a lot of stuff when I was more confused, but now I understand the system somewhat more than I did in the past. So I don't spend time dwelling on all the incorrect things I've experienced in the form of regretting them. I just attempt to learn from them and to improve, evolve, hopefully. Which is another interesting thing that Mickey said to Wade during the interview. He says that he's a more evolved person. He says he's evolved. He's I'm like, oh, I have to decode that racist logic as he did not evolve. He's very he's actually very savage like and primitive to view evolution as the ability to just kill. He's an apex predator maybe because he has a gun and he has the lack of care for the universe and nature, so he's able to kill willy-nilly, but that doesn't make him an evolved person. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm not smart enough to comment on such things. I'm just a non-white person, victim of racism. But that was interesting that he said that maybe going into the Uberman mentality, that Hitler popularized and refined, and that his look, that his haircut is definitely echoing. Oh, and another, I almost forgot to mention, I don't have a screenshot of him, But there's a character that was mentioned briefly, Dr. Emil Reingold. He's the doctor that was talking about whether or not Mallory and Mickey are crazy. He said something very interesting. He said, I never really believe what women tell me. And he's a doctor on live TV saying this in this film. I'm like, oh, white culture, because the Yurugu. And if you don't understand what I'm saying by when I say Yurugu, please go acquire the book Yurugu, or listen to our book study on the book Yurugu, or listen to the Context of White Supremacy book study on the Yurugu, so you will understand what that term means and what a Yurugu is. It is a white person. But anywho, the Yurugu, there's no balance. There's no, it appears to be, I could be in error, but there appears to be no balance between the males and the females, which is why they're not in it for each other. They're in it to keep the system going. Racist man, racist woman. Which is why, which is why there's so much animosity that we can observe from white men and white women. They're not in it for each other. They're in it to keep the system going and to receive the comfort and benefits from being white and being in a system of white supremacy racism. I thought it was very interesting during this scene where we have Mallory and Mickey, well, not Mickey, Mallory and Mickey. They are facing death because they're poisoned by the rattlesnake bites, remember? So they're poisoned and they're fighting death. And then we have this cartoon being shown where it's a dark creature being mistreated by these two white people. So when they're facing death, it's shown to us by them having to overcome this dark creature. Interesting. Noted. Definitely racism, white supremacy in effect. And also the imagery is super hypersexualized, you know, and now we have 2022, the whole furry situation, the whole people literally being attracted to animals. And this is because it's where the racists have taken us with their propaganda. They have oh yes. So I forgot what scene, but it was during one of the shootout scenes. It could have been here, this scene where he's shooting with the cops, but in the background, the music that's being played, it's like religious hymns. You know, all this shooting, people dying, and there's just like this opera, this religious opera sound being played, and that's the religion of white supremacy. And then when we have the prison riot going on, what kind of music do we hear? We hear music that sounds like it's non-white music. You know, sounds like some sort of I don't know, just non-white noise music or whatever. Very, very telling, very interesting.
Yeah, I wrote that down. The music that they were playing when he was getting beat up, that was more of like almost like a Flight of the Valkyries, almost like something like that. And then when they were in the prison riot, it's like this kind of Indian, like almost like Hindu music, or like just like these real like crazy, you know, almost like you think about like the jungle, like you know, like these jungle drums.
Yeah,
you know, with
I heard
all
something.
these,
It sound like I heard like Islamic sounds. That's what I was hearing.
exactly. Yep, Hindu. Yes, sir. Islamic Hindu type of those drums that that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Miss B. And during the interview with Wade and Mick, what also was interesting issue was when something was said and then Mick asked Wade, who's innocent? You know, and I think the code does say that system-wide in the system of white supremacy, no one is so-called innocent. But the people most to blame for this problem are white people who classify themselves as white. So yes, while myself 0526, I am definitely not guilty of committing murder. I'm not innocent of not producing a system of justice. I have definitely failed to do that, failed to guarantee that no one is being mistreated and people who need help are getting it, and myself included. So completely failed at that. I'm not innocent in that regard at all. And because we're in a system of white supremacy, all of us, most of the time, we are directly or indirectly subjected to and forced to participate in a number of incorrect things, you know, whether we are calling it our job duties, you know, whether we call it clocking in. Yeah, most of it goes to promoting the system of white supremacy. It's promoting the system is unfortunately promoting and supporting a lot of death and mistreatment worldwide. And that's what we are doing by default. Just by existing in the system, we have to contribute to that reality. So no one is innocent, and but the people most to blame are white people. More precisely, the white people who choose to believe in and practice racism, white supremacy. The Wade's character, hilariously tacky, trashy, and terroristic. I guess I didn't get any stills of his final moments, but yeah, Wade is you know, he's white sacrificed. Wade is white sacrificed at the end. You know, he thought that he had some sort of bond with Mickey and Mallory, but no, that's not how the system works. You know, he knows how the system works. It was mentioned he was in it for himself as well. He was in it for the praise and glory that he would receive from being able to interview Mickey and Mallory. You know, he wanted his glory in the system of white supremacy, and he's gonna get it by being the last person to be killed by them. But that's probably not the manner he wanted it. He wanted to do it while he was alive, pretty sure. But Mickey and Mallory are just racist white supremacists. They have no problem sacrificing white people at all. So they sacrifice the fellow white, and then what happens? Are they captured and placed in greater confinement? Nope. They are able to do what many non-white people will never ever be able to do in the system. They are able to, you know, drive. You know, Mickey's a truck driver now. They got, well, how many? Two offspring and one in the oven, because she's pregnant, it seems. So killed like 50 plus people, and they're living good now. That's a white power, and this is very, very realistic, because the most powerful racists, the ones who are literally responsible for massive loss of life, hey, they go home to a really comfortable environment, you know, every day, after putting into place policies or doing things that are going to lead to a lot of people being mistreated or being eliminated. So I thought the ending was very, very fitting, because in this system of white supremacy, racism, the so-called bad guys, they get away every single day. This system is allowed to continue, if you're following logic. So fitting ending. This is what racism is all about. Keeping it going. And this is the only family that exists on planet Earth, the white family.
I suspect that Robert Downey Jr. was suing a non-white person, non-white female, possibly a Pacific Islander or Chinese or so-called someone from Tokyo. Only reason why I say that, even though they never showed her face, she had the last name. She had the name of Ming, so I suspect that was a non-white person, and I think that she finally realized that she was being raped and that she was being sued, and that she was in a tragic arrangement, and she terminated things, for lack of a better term at the moment. She ended things between him. Earlier in the scene, there was a group of non-white males sitting at a table in jail, and a white man was sitting at the table. He was the only white man sitting at the table, and he was just looking at one non-white male. He didn't say a word, and he just smiled at him, and that caused the non-white male to react, to respond, to want to fight. And that reminds me of when, it's not exactly, but it reminds me of when Neely Fuller Jr., when he talks about on the job, how white people, they know us, how they know what makes us happy, what makes us sad, how to upset us, how to get a reaction. And this white man right here, he didn't even say a word, and the non-white male just went off, just, he became extremely upset just by this white man looking at him. And that's very telling. And, they study us, white people, when I say they white racist man and racist woman, they study us. So why not study them? Because this white man, you clearly know that, he knew that he was going to get a response from the non-white male. That's why he's smiling. That's why he's looking at him. There was also a part where they were going around to different locations, Tokyo, etc. And when they spanned the camera at Tokyo, there was two females, both non-white, one with a blonde wig or blonde hair and one with black hair. And they were just like so happy and just fanatic over, and this is around the time that the news is they're saying that Mallory and Mickey, that they're hot and they're cool and this, that, and the other. And you see them jumping up and down and they're happy. And I see that as, with these two females, as white acceptance. That's what I see it as. Like, hey, we don't want to be harmed. We for you too. Like, please don't harm us. That's what I see. I see it as fear and white acceptance.
Yeah, I mentioned, the white worship. No, I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but like I had these people in mind for the white worship. I was on this screen when I was talking about it, but yep, I had this in line. Blonde wig, the white identification, indeed. So let's talk about the tattoos really quickly. This is Jesus. Here's a Jesus tattoo of Christ. Jesus is white, and this is white supremacy. Scorpion. Someone mentioned scorpion and yin and yang. This right here, yin and yang. I think it's supposed to mean balance, the balance of darkness and light. That's what I've been told when I've asked people what this means. I just decode it as the system. The system is a black and white system, a non and white system, a white over non-white system. That's what I decode the tattoos as. And Mickey is very Christ-like, Christ-like, white-like, that's what Christ-like means. Just being white and being able to use white power, awesome power. Whether you want to rape someone or deceive yourself out of greater confinement. Speaking of that, let's talk about how Mick got out of greater confinement. How was he able to escape? Well, he used direct violence, of course, but at first he used deception. I don't have any screenshots of it, I think, but when he's in the interview room with Wade and the camera people and the guards, he's telling jokes. He's trying to get the people in the room more comfortable by making them laugh. He's walking around, and if you're paying attention, he's surveying. He's a wolf surveying, which sheep or which prey is most vulnerable. And he's seeing who's paying attention to him, because he's like checking cupboards, he's like going into things when he shouldn't be doing any of that. He's a prisoner in a prison. He shouldn't be allowed to walk around or do anything, but because he's such a powerful racist, he understands his words have the ability to deceive people, and he could use his words to manipulate people's emotion to get them laugh, so they could turn down their guard, which is what he does. So he's telling jokes, the guards start laughing, and then because he's such a smart racist, it seems he understands that people have reflexes, and when a person is not thinking seriously, when they were just joking, and so I guess he's aware of that, because he throws a donut at first he hits a guard, and he throws a donut at another guard, and the guard, I guess because he's green, and he's also he was just laughing, so he's not thinking correctly. He's not in a serious mode. He catches the donut, and then Mickey is able to kill most of the people and get the guy who he threw the donut at, because I guess Mickey understands reflexes, and he threw the donut at the guy knowing that he would catch the donut or whatnot. Just awesome white power demonstrated in that scene. And that's what's been done to the whole world. They have racist man, racist woman. They have taught us, they have given us so-called entertainment. They have taught us and made it comfortable for us and given us a number of things to laugh at. So they're able to deceive us, so they're able to keep harming us while we're laughing, while we're laughing, we're all always being mistreated because we're in the system of white supremacy. So I thought that scene was awesome. Awesome, just display of white power. And I really hope my rambling, because I am a victim of racism, my mind has been severely retarded. So I can't make the best sense all the time, but I do hope I decoded that scene well enough for people to understand when they hear this broadcast, or for the people who are listening now, of course. Just making sure I went over all my notes. Yeah, this film, The Religion of White Supremacy. We saw so much. We saw a person get put in a dryer, some sort of industrial dryer, and a person get put in the oven in this film. So that's interesting. Oh, I didn't mention that. I didn't mention this, but it's also something that demonstrates how the system functions. In this prison, in Warden's prison, there's way more prisoners than guards and wardens, way more prisoners. So of course the prison has to keep the prisoners behaving and thinking in a certain manner if they want to keep control of the prison. You know, once the prison operators lost control of what the prisoners were thinking, they lost control of the prison. And ultimately they literally died because of it, because they lost control of the prison. So that is one thing the racists fear, losing control of the system, you know, but mostly they fear non-white people thinking seriously, wanting and willing the end of the system on white supremacy. They fear that an effective number of us of attempting to do that. So we should definitely attempt to do that, and maybe their fear will make it more easy to solve this problem, because it's not a not that hard of a problem. Just stop mistreating people. Very simple. You don't need to know algebra to solve racism. So we can definitely solve this problem. Oh, also the prison system, there's way more non-white people than white people on this planet. They have just done a masterful job at taking control over our minds. What you think and the things that you think probably aren't your natural thoughts. You probably have been taught by the racists to think a number of things that are illogical, silly, and incorrect. And it's not your fault, it's by design. We were all born into this really lame system. So go to producejustice.com, buy the code book, study it, apply it, promote it. Context of White Supremacy. Listen to that broadcast on Black Talk Radio. I believe I have covered my notes. One thing just came to mind: the Native American, so-called Native American that was killed by Mickey and Mallory. He had a offspring, it seemed, and his offspring had a shirt that said Army on it. Could be echoing the tragic reality that a lot of victims of racism go to the so-called military and fight and sometimes die in the military for white people. But that's just a tragic arrangement we're in. You know, that's what being in a system can lead to. Oh yeah, it was mentioned American Maniacs. That's the name of Wade's show, Robert Downey Jr.'s character. America doesn't exist. Americans do not exist. An American is a person who practices justice. America is a place where justice is. Neither of those things are taking place. Maniacs exist. Maniacs are just is a person who does not practice justice. That's what I'm gonna define a maniac as: a person who promotes the continuation of not practicing justice, not promoting justice, a person who enjoys mistreating people and other people mistreating people. So that's what a maniac is. Something that, you know, we have been taught that, hey, it's cool. Case in point, the whole just fandom behind serial killers. Richard Ramirez I think he may be a Spanish serial killer, a white Spanish serial killer, white person. Anywho, those are my notes. Are there any more notes the other hosts would like to share? All right, awesome. Yeah, I do hope this was of constructive value. Please share this material. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't and if you felt this was of constructive value. Remember what Evolutionists for Justice said. This is what racist man and racist woman are all about. If they were allowed to, and if they really wanted to be their true selves, they would be Mickey and Mallory. Many of them, if not most, would behave in the manner of Mickey and Mallory. If you pay attention, 2022, the sort of jokes that are said, the sort of conversations that are had in real life, so-called real life, and on the internet, I think that's true. A lot of insanity, but that's what the system is all about: promoting and remaining in this insane cycle. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your audience. We are going to sign out. Hold on, because I gotta talk about this because I did not talk about this particular aspect, and we did not talk about this. Look at this wardrobe. Look at Mickey's wardrobe. What? Hold on, let me get to that picture. I know I got a picture. All right, so what is his wardrobe? What is this not some very suspect clothing that they have that he's wearing right here? And Yahoo just mentioned he made that he comments, "I will go down on a lawman for some gasoline," something like that. So yeah, within the Yurugu, within their culture, anti-sexual activities, male on male, female on male, that's natural to them. That's normal, and I have absolutely no problem with them doing that. It's when they promote it onto non-white people and say it's going to help us to solve our problem, that's when it becomes incorrect and terroristic, because it's not going to solve our problem. Anti-sexual activities. But anywho's, look at Woody Harrelson's shirt. Is this a masculine shirt, or is this anti-sexual wardrobe? What do we think?
Can't see it.
Oh, my
Yeah,
bad.
see.
I'll be thinking I'm sharing my screen. I'm not. All right. Thoughts?
That's you made a great observation about Jimmy Savile. He used to wear stuff like that all the time, and still do wrestlers.
Interesting.
And the observation about the red and black. I noticed that it was red, black, and white, which is the colors of the Nazi and witchcraft.
So what's this film a good platform to discuss the system, do you guys think? And guys, males and females think?
it helps me understand the importance of not seeing these acts of terrorism as crazy, but seeing it's a training method that's been put right in front of us the entire time through things like this. So it's very constructive in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was constructive. There were a lot of things, subliminal messages, you know, within this film. So, and I'm grateful that we were able to dissect dissect this film. So yes, I think it was worth it. I think, yeah, I think it was constructive, very constructive. A constructive
Yeah,
thing to
same.
do.
Yeah, same. Very constructive. I learned a lot first time seeing this. A lot of hidden symbols I'm learning about.
First time, last time. I will not be watching this movie again.
Definitely, I'm not watching this again. Terrible.
Yeah. Me either. I say I'm not gonna watch it, but I may have to decode it again. Who's but not for many years. Yeah, I thought yeah, I was very I'm gonna use the word use. I was also very grateful to watch this with my well-seeing lens, my attempting counter racist lens, because wow, when I was more confused, loved these characters. When I was a victim of racism, when I saw, I didn't even connect that Woody Harrelson's character was a rapist. I didn't even connect the two. That's how confused I was. Just like American Psycho, watched that movie all the time when I was a younger victim of racism. You know, a lot of my personality comes from these characters in these TV shows, and I was more confused. You know, Patrick Bateman, Tyler Durden. Really insane what the system does to our minds. This is why I had too much TV. What we see on the screen right now, too much TV retards us, has us thinking that killing is fun. That's how I used to think. I literally used to think that people life, the existence of people, who cares? You know, Kill 'Em All, Slayer, you know, Metallica, who, you know, nihilism. Mickey, he uses a lot of nihilistic rhetoric when he's talking to Wade towards the end of the film in the interview. The whole nihilistic rhetoric of, you know, it's just fate, you know, people are supposed to die, you know. Mickey and Mallory are they're playing God in a role of fate bringer. They're bringing people to their fate, and that fate is death. And I used to be a person who's saying, you know, people die, so what? Who cares? Just a dead person. There'll be more. And that's exactly what the system does to our minds. It's super insane, super incorrect, and we should want to understand what's been done to our minds and counter it. Yeah, if I could go from, you know, thinking that massive loss of life is acceptable to a person wanting, attempting to produce and begging for a system of justice, then hopefully most of us can as well.
You are alive.
No, I exist.